They tryna turn Trenton into Baby Flint. Been signs by depression on the billboards ever since. 100 years ago we was lynched. Now they use germ warfare to kill us. I'm convinced, got the evidence. I look around and it's evident. Then go down to City Hall and see so much negligence. Real art is intelligent. A true artist sends messages that speak to your intelligence. They fought and died so I can do my thing. Not to get drunk and high or join no gang. I will not let none of you die in vain. For my people I bang, bang, bang. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. They say post-traumatic slavery disorder's fake, but I just tell them all to wake up. Everything we went through, what a way down a rape, bro. Isn't all genetic makeup. So I am my ancestors from block to block. Let's build like it's Tetris. We must unite, link up like a necklace. They fought and died and we disrespected. So I come to correct it. The legacy they left I protected. We only think about self and neglected. You're African but yet you rejected. No. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. I do. I go.
Here we go. Welcome back to another edition of New Freedom Exchange, your cultural expression for social dignity and community empowerment. I'm your co-host, Brother Dean, here on the New Freedom Exchange. We welcome you all to Islamic Heritage Month. We've been doing a series highlighting October as Islamic Heritage. Normally with my two co-hosts, Sister Marsha and Imam Bilal, they should join us sometime before the show is over. We do have two beloved brothers who are in the field of education as well as community development. So we're going to hear from them shortly. They'll introduce themselves in reference to this new program that's launching, I believe within a week or so, the Islamic Leadership Development and Training Program. For those of you who are familiar with the platform, we do ask you to share where you're calling from and give us a shout out. We like to recognize our listeners and viewers. We have our dear brother, Imam Musa Abdul Ali. Assalamu alaikum to you as well, dear brother and friend. Welcome to the platform. And anyone else that comes on, when you come on now or later, please share. Okay, you're down in Charlotte. Yes, sir. North Carolina. Yeah, so please, when you get on, share that. And also, we also say like, share, and subscribe. We have a YouTube channel, Facebook, as well as Instagram, and we also on Twitch. Twitch is more known by the younger people who do the gaming. So we're trying to build that platform up as well. We know all these platforms, as we were tested, I think a few days ago, I think it was about a 6-hour gap, they say, where these major networks, social media platforms were down. And Imam Bilal, he posed a question to us in our meetings, but also to his following and community members, you know, by us being so engaged in these platforms, and that happened, what would happen if it was a longer shutdown or a temporary / permanent shutdown? You know, how would we communicate? How would we engage our family? How would we do business for those of us who are on these platforms? So something for us to think about as people of faith and as also conscious people we want to be aware of, the space that we're in virtually, as well as, the communities that we live, and also have not necessarily alternatives, but also platforms to compete, right? Because we live in a free enterprise society system, and now we're in a global economy. So the earth is spacious, as it said in the scriptures. So there's no reason for why we can't compete. But we're using this platform because this is what's available to us. We instill in our children and the next generation to not take advantage, or to take advantage rather. Because really it's not taking advantage. Take hold of what's available to you, because those who came before us, it wasn't always available to them. And so their sacrifices, their struggles, and those things that they live for, and some even died for, was for us to have comfort and advancement. So we don't want to just get the comfort and don't advance, right? So as we enjoy these comforts with technology and social media and everything that we enjoy, we also want to advance our mission and our cause as people of faith, and as a new people, as well as just human beings in general. So without saying all that, we would like to bring on two of the members of the team of the Islamic Leadership Development Training Program. I have them introduce themselves. One of them has been on our platform before, Imam Dr. Mubashir, with the IWDM Study Library, and other things that he does. And then we also have now joining us Imam Professor Salahuddin Mohammed, who's the author of America's Imam. So I ask you all to join me in welcoming to the platform Imam Mubashir and Imam Salahuddin. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well. There is a little kickback from your mic, but we'll work with it as we're adjusting through this evening. So I'll give our brother who hasn't been on this platform yet his first opportunity to introduce yourself, and we'll go to Imam Mubashir.
All right. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wasallam. My name is Salahuddin Mohammed. I am a chaplain. I am an imam, and I'm also an author. Degree from Harvard Seminary in Hartford, Connecticut, in Islamic Studies, Muslim Relations. And I'm also the director of the Islamic Sciences of the Islamic Leadership Training and Development Program. So that's a little brief bio. And as the conversation go, hopefully, inshallah, I will give out some more information.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. Again, our dear brother, Mubashir Uqdah, welcome. Give us a brief bio. Can't hear you yet, not yet.
Okay, how about
there you
now?
Go. Yes, sir. Crispy.
Good. Indeed, assalamu alaikum to all. Mubashir Uqdah, I'm working with the Imam W. Muhammad Knowledge Body component of our program. I'm working with Imam Kashif Abdul Kareem out of Connecticut, and I joined the program about 2 years ago, the project. I wasn't one of the early folks, but I came into the project after a while and been working diligently to try and produce a good program. So as Imam, as Mujahideen said, I have worked with the Imam W.D. Muhammad Study Library, which is a resource of knowledge and a project to preserve the Imam's language and teaching. And I'm hoping that this online course, this online program, will be yet another component, another way, another avenue, another resource for us, those of us familiar with Imam Muhammad, as well as those who are new just coming into finding out about him, these will be resources to make it more convenient for folks to more quickly learn about his teaching, learn about what he represents, his commentary on the Quran and al-Islam. And so this program is a great opportunity. I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of hard work, but we are striving to do the best we can.
Excellent, excellent. We'll give a little. You all can give a little backdrop of the program, or the process the process that you all went through to developing the program. But I want us to go almost in and out. So we'll talk about the program. We'll talk about the features of the program, but also want to, because we're in Islamic Heritage Month, we also want to give our viewers some context of leadership or Islamic leadership in America. So, because both of you are scholars and students and historians, I would like to draw that out of you as well as we talk about the program. So if you could, either one of you, give us a little backdrop of how this came about, or what was the need for developing this program.
Salahuddin, I think you were here before I was, so go ahead.
Yeah,
hold on, before I have to take the privilege. Okay. We have one of our co-hosts is on with us now. I'll bring her on, Sister Marsha, if she's ready. Assalamu alaikum.
Here she comes.
You hear us? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
All right. We just did introductions, and we're going over the beginning of the program, how they came about. And I also mentioned that we would like to go back and forth between the program itself, the features of the program, as well as talk, since we're in Islamic Heritage Month, we want to also address Islamic leadership in America, the history of Islamic leadership. So I'm sorry, Salahuddin.
So the Islamic Leadership Training and Development program was designed to implement this priority that our current community has, and that's leadership, but more so succession planning too. And so we were looking at some way that we could train those leaders in our community, because when you go around the country, we have leaders, but the question is, do we have leaders to succeed the leaders that we have in place? And so the Islamic Leadership and Training Development program came out of a need for those masters in our community, and also those schools or those institutions in our community that need future leaders. And so we know now we have a lot of different programs in our community now, but we started on this journey 3 years ago. We were doing presentations to the imams in the community, let them know that we were developing this program. So saying all that, now we're at a point now we're ready to launch it. And it's been a long journey. And I would even say it's been painstaking, but it's alhamdulillah, because with anything that's going to be beneficial, it's going to take work. So this is not anything we just woke up yesterday or today and decided to do. This has been a long journey, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yes, indeed. As Imam Salahuddin said, I think the effort began 3 years ago. Imam Mubashir Ali, who is leading up the leadership and community development component, he had gotten involved with the project, and then he twisted my arm and pulled me into the project about 2 years ago, and he got me involved, and I'm glad he did, and I'm glad that I am involved, because the team that we have, as Imam Salahuddin mentioned, we got to grow together. You know, as Muhammad the Prophet, praise and peace be upon him, says, you know, you get to know someone when you, one of the ways is when you're working together with them. And so we have been working together, meeting together weekly, and we're doing twice a week now. And we've had many issues that come along and we have to battle them out, you know, with Shura Bainahum. And, you know, that phrase, Shura Bainahum, and most people, everybody knows that Shura Bainahum talks about mutual consultation, and you're struggling and you're working together. And the outcome is the production of honey. And that honey is good to all the people in the hive that's been working together on that. But there's also another meaning to Shura Bainahum, that Shura that talks about wrestling a beast. And it gives the picture that you're trying to get your arms around something, you know, and you're wrestling with it to try to get a grasp on it. And so this is what sometimes the back and forth, the interaction, it's almost like a bullfight, you know, it's like you wrestling this giant animal and you gotta measure it and get a grip on it and then wrestle it down. And then you get the results too, because now you take stock of how big this thing is, you measure it. And when you measure something, then you know the circumference of it. And now you can understand more about how to tackle it and how to handle it. And so we've gone through those processes and we've developed thicker skin with one another and we've learned each other's personalities. And that's what it takes to build anything that sticks. Because at any time, if we had to let ourselves get ruffled and upset with one another such that we just stepped away from each other, then we wouldn't have the result that we are working towards. So anyway, so 2 years ago, I got involved in it. And one thing about leadership that is critical is that you've got to point the direction, but you got to walk the direction. I like The Matrix. It's one of my favorite movie series. And there's a place, somebody got background, I don't know, in the kitchen somewhere. But one of my favorite scenes is when Neo goes to meet the Oracle. So the Oracle is the person who knows all things. And Neo, he's supposed to be the one. So he's going there to the Oracle to find out if he's the one to, you know, make this happen. And so she's checking him out, you know, and he's like, well, what do you think? So she says some things. So he says, well, if you know everything, why don't you do it? Why don't you go ahead and do it? And she makes this point. She says, knowing what to do is different from being able to do what needs to be done. So knowledge is one thing. We talk about things. We all have lots of ideas about what we know needs to be done, but we have to become that thing. And so leadership must materialize and actualize a result. So anyway, I got involved with the concept of trying to build a piece of the puzzle that we have.
Excellent. Well, one thing that came to mind when you mentioned about another understanding of Shura Bainahum as tackling or wrestling a beast, I thought of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whose birthday just passed October 7th. It was said that he said about, you know, our problem as a people is like putting pants on an elephant. And they told him that's a hefty task. He said, well, I think I got one leg on. Right. And so as you're saying what you're saying and reflecting on the history of leadership in America, the job is not yet done. Right. And so as you all are saying, leadership is not something that just instantaneously happens. It's not a wishful thing. It takes work and effort.
Absolutely. Not to talk too much because I know we want to move on, but I just want to say about that and leadership and heritage is that this is one of the reasons why there's always so much talk about passing something on to the next generation. And there's a verse in the Quran that says, reverence the wombs that give you birth. And the reason for that is that if the womb is where the seed is cultivated, the germ or the DNA, which is the plan from the parents, from the parental to the next generation, or from the present and past to the future, that plan is nourished in the womb. If the womb does not cultivate that seed and bring it to birth, then the life does not continue. And so those of us in the struggle, this is why a program like this is essential, because if the knowledge, if the ideas, if the thought processes, the concepts are not transmitted and passed on to others, then as the elders grow and get weak and fall off, that life germ doesn't exist. It won't preserve and go forward into the future to grow to its fullest height. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I love that you just shared what you just shared, because a lot of times in our community, I think the discussion comes up about succession planning, because that was mentioned, succession planning and who comes next, and is this thing dying? Will it die? What's going to happen when the person in leadership returns to Allah or something happens? And you're right. If we don't plan, then we leave ourselves susceptible to whatever that situation pans out to be. But I love that you just shared that it has to be cultivated, right? There has to be some formulated plan for when and if this happens, this is what is supposed to occur. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you just shared that if we want longevity, right? Exactly. If we want this thing to live on, if we want this life to continue, then something like that has to happen. And so that the reason that I brought that up is because it leads me to the question of, we talk about those who are in leadership in our community, and it comes up, is it that the person in leadership doesn't want to give up the space, or is it that there's no one to come behind them to take the place? And is it one, or is it the other, or is it a function of both that's happening? Mm-hmm. And what's the solution to that?
Yeah, so this is a very important point and reality that we have to face as a community. And to your specific point about, does the person currently in leadership unwilling to leave, or is it that there's no one to follow? And I think both scenarios are true. In many cases, it's one or the other, and oftentimes both. And this is one of the reality. Another problem is that the older generation spent time directly in interaction with Imam Mohammed and going to the meetings and hearing all the talks. And just by osmosis, you internalize certain things, whereas younger folks did not have that same kind of relationship. So what you have sometimes is a tension that occurs when some younger folks are now older. They're adults now, and they're finding their identity, and they have newfound skills, and they're ready to roll. But because they haven't had that interaction, that osmosis effect, their language, their thinking may not be what some of the old generations may perceive to be. Well, where's Imam Mohammed in all of this, right? Where is that tafsir? yes, they've grabbed some Islam, they've got maybe a lot of it, they got some Arabic, but we don't hear Abraham's voice calling to the four birds in their language. And so then there's a concern about, well, do I pass the torch on in that respect? And then sometimes the torch gets passed on, and then that person tries to lead, and he has new ideas, young, ready to roll. But then the older community, which most of them are like maybe not moving quite to that tune, because the conductor might be playing some notes of compositions that they're like, wait a minute, now that's music over there. I'm looking for this kind of music. And so you have all of these dynamics. And as you said, in terms of planning, I remember when I was very younger, I used to hear Muslims say all the time, inshallah, to happen, inshallah, it's going to be this, Allah's going to do this, Allah's going to do that, inshallah. And, when you look at Allah's creation, it's all very planned. Everything is structured. Everything is organized. That's the fitrah. And it develops its design according to a plan. And so the Muslims do not put their future in the hands of luck or maybe, or even a quote that is true, but might not, but the meaning might be a little different. So planning, conscious action is what it's all about. The human is the creature with the most consciousness and awareness of his surroundings. And other animals and creatures have less so. They have some, but it gets less the further down in the complexity of the organism. So we have to do that planning and solve those problems and address those issues. This program is an attempt to take 33 years of the Imam's leadership with lectures scattered all over the internet, all over the place. New people coming along, or people who want to say, okay, well, where is this Imam Mohammed? What is it? They're not going to listen to 33 years worth of lectures and try to find the pieces and put it all together. That's the task for his followers to do, and make it convenient so that they can get it, and then maybe be able to rectify some of those issues you brought up, Sister Marcia.
And I'm excited to see the end product of, I know we'll talk about the program, but I got a chance to listen to you all present the program, when you all had the program a few weeks ago. And so I'm excited to see the end results of those who go through the training, because from what I got to see, it's very thorough. You can tell that you all took time and energy and time to put it together, because it's not. And again, from what I know that you all presented, what I saw, it wasn't thrown together. You definitely can see that. And so let's transition to talking about the actual program and what's entailed, and what your vision is for it, and what your expected outcomes are for those who go through it. So take us a little bit through that. Tell us more about the program.
Yeah, so basically the name of the program is Islamic Leadership Training and Development Program, and it has three components. The first component is community leadership. The second component is Islamic Sciences, and the third component is Imam Mohammed's knowledge body. And so these three components will be taught separately, but they also would be some integration too. So we also will have some integration pertaining to these components. And so I will be teaching the Islamic Sciences, or I will be the director over the Islamic Sciences. Imam Mubashir, he will be over the Imam W. Muhammad's knowledge body, and Imam Dr. Bashir Ali, he will be over the leadership or community leadership component. And so those are the three components. We are a very unique program. We're very unique. And what makes us stand out is that we have these three components. And each of those components will have Imam Muhammad's insights. So you're probably saying Islamic Sciences, what is that about? So the Islamic Sciences would deal with all the classical knowledge, well, not all of it, but it would deal with Ulum al-Quran, Ulum al-Hadith, the Sirah, Islamic History 1, and Islamic History 2, Sharia, and Usul al-Fiqh, and Ulum al-Hadith. Now, these sciences will also we will also show where Imam Muhammad has given his insights on these sciences, and we'll show how he contributed to the Islamic sciences, because he did. He was a scholar. We believe he was the mujaddid, but he was a scholar, and he has some sciences to add to the Islamic sciences. So we will be using some of his insights, and some of his insights might critique some of the Islamic sciences. Some of his insights might gel with the Islamic sciences, but it's our goal and purpose to show that Imam Muhammad, he can hold his ground. He can hold his ground when it pertains to Islamic sciences. And then with the community leadership, he will also tap into Imam Muhammad's insights pertaining to leadership. And then Imam W. Muhammad knowledge body, our brother Mubashir, who Imam Muhammad, I don't know if he told you, but Imam Muhammad gave him that title, doctor. And so because he was so impressed with his insights pertaining to Imam Muhammad's knowledge body. So we are grateful. We are ready to serve the community and to help produce the next generation of Muslim leaders, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, yeah, indeed. I'll just quickly add to that with respect to the knowledge body component. This is a new venture in many ways, because while the information and the knowledge is out there in the public, and the teaching, we've had many lectures and many teachings are out there. What I'm hoping to do and what I have been working on doing is creating a systematic approach, a methodical approach to conveying the teachings. And hopefully my biggest goal, because it is the first time trying to lay this out here, and the Imam's knowledge body is vast. His commentary on the Quran is vast, and his commentary on it is vast. And so we're just going to do the best I can to put enough of the material together in a way that when the students go through the program and they come out of it, and by the way, a side note, it's called the Knowledge Body Program, but I often use the term also the IWDM School of Thinking, because unlike many of the other schools, we don't have a 1,000-year history in developing our school of thinking, our school of thought. So we're still in the process of growing and developing and synthesizing. So when our students come out, my biggest hope is that when they're finished, they will be able to clearly know what it means to be a student of Imam W.D. Muhammad. They will have a grasp of the essential concepts that distinguish those who follow Imam Muhammad. They will have a capacity to explain the evidence and some proofs from Quran, from the life of the Prophet, that support the interpretations and explanations of Imam Muhammad, and be able to understand the criticisms or critiques that others lob against our community and against our approach to al-Islam, and know how to defend those arguments and positions of the Imam. So they come out and they know what it means to be a student of Imam Muhammad and have some facility and grasp to where they know how to articulate it and can explain very important and some very complicated ideas. So this is
excellent. Excellent. We'll do a station identification. This is New Freedom XChange, your cultural expression for social dignity and community empowerment. I'm your co-host, Brother Dean, here with Sister Marsha, and now joining us, Imam Bilal Hassan. We thank you for those who've been tuning in so far. We've been having a discussion about this new Islamic leadership training and development program that has been worked on for a few years, as was mentioned earlier, with Imam Mubashir, Imam Salahuddin, and also Bashir Ali. So we thank you all for tuning in. We'll allow our Imam to give us the greetings as we continue the discussion.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, beloved brothers.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother Mubashir, Uqdah. It's a pleasure seeing you all, brothers, here, and very thankful, appreciative for the work and the efforts that you all continue to do with the launch of this program. It's a very much needed program, and with the work that you all are doing with the conveners of the imams in this community is very essential work. So we definitely applaud the efforts that you all continue to do, and we're looking forward to continue our continuous partnership in supporting your efforts as much as we can here on New Freedom XChange.
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah.
So I'd like to transition the conversation into talking about your target audience, right? So we talked a little bit about the fact that the succession planning has to happen in our community, and that your program is a solution for that, to move that forward. And so who is it that you envision would participate in this program, would go through the program? Because as we just discussed, sometimes the function of moving the community forward or planning for the future it's a little bit about, the person in position maybe not wanting to transition to whatever their next role is, which for me, I see it as a mentoring role, but that's me. And also sometimes it's a function of there not being an eligible candidate to come into that space. So who is the target audience? Where do we find them? Are they already out there? Let's talk a little bit about that, because we do want to, in us having this discussion, we want to be able to have our viewers and our listeners think about where they fall. Are you the person? Do you know the person who should be a part of this? so that we move to the next level. So let's talk a little bit about the ideal student.
Yeah, so I would say the ideal student would be potential imams or imams that are in the role of imams now. I would say teachers. I would say principals. I say board members. I would say community leaders. Anyone with the responsibilities that cast them as a representative of the community of Imam W.D. Muhammad. So anyone that feels that responsibility to continue his legacy or to continue the legacy of Imam W.D. Muhammad's community, those are our target audience. Young, old, man, woman, teenager. I mean, we're just trying to give those potential leaders those tools that will hopefully, inshallah, help them to be future leaders. So go ahead, Imam Mubashir.
Yeah, no, I think for this program, you've explained it very well. You've targeted it well. And in terms of the target, I think in our brochure, it speaks about anyone who's representing our community, or who is leading in some capacity in the community. And you know how programs are. You have a scope at the beginning, and you want to measure the scope. You want it to be the size of your capacity, which is why we're starting out as that pilot program. And then as you get more experience with something, you say, okay, we can handle that. Then you can upgrade and expand outwards and broaden the program. So right now, because there's a sense in many people, there's a sense in many people of an urgency to at least try to make it available to help others who would take over these positions and take the lead. And to those problems that you referenced, they are, you mentioned it before. I just want to say this. Imam Mohammed had set up a system of voter ratification and election type process throughout our community. And for quite some time, it had become a part of our culture or tradition, if you will. And those processes were put in place that also would help the natural transition, to take place. Unfortunately, I don't know if many of the masajid are now still embracing that process, where imams in current positions are willing and open, to open the door and have those vote of confidences and those ratifications, which, could lead to transitions to others. If some younger person comes up and has more qualification and more skill in the ummah of that community, feels that way, they could have the power to choose the leadership that they want. And if that imam has been doing a great job and they want to maintain that imam, then they would continue to do so. But that we have weaknesses in that process, so it makes transition a little bit difficult, and then it doesn't become a part of the inherent culture of the people. And that becomes a problem now, because change management is always difficult. So in our program, at least I know in my component, that's an element when we deal with the social commentary of the imam. These things are part of it that will be addressed.
Excellent. Can you, because as you're saying that, I think there's a moment to give us a little history as you reference that process of ratification and community involvement as far as choosing their leaders. Historically, our community for the first half of our 90 or 91 years, can you talk about how that was, I guess, ran from headquarters, and then as we transitioned into Imam Muhammad leadership, it became more autonomous or local driven as far as leadership? Because I think sometimes we miss that gap. I know those who come on later on, in our community development, they just focus on just their community. But as an association, it was a little more regimented. It was a little more top down, so to speak.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then as we transition, but can you give context? I mean, I said a little bit of it, but.
Well, I can comment, although I'm not a historian, but I did live through that experience, right? I became a Muslim in 1977. So I wasn't in the Nation of Islam, although it's funny, I thought I was joining the Nation of Islam. I wasn't even aware of the transition that was going on. I almost never made it back to the masjid after my first day, I got rid of my platform shoes. I don't know if you guys knew about platform shoes at your age. But back in my day, that was a style. They had men in these shoes make you feel tall, right? I had one of those big afros, and I cut all my afro off, got rid of the platform shoes. I felt like a little midget walking down the street for a while, but I was on my way to the I think they were still called temples at the time. I didn't know the difference, but I was on my way down there to join, and so I was ready to make that change. Anyway, just a long story short, I got in there. I was ready to be processed, whatever that was, my rights, And I'm sitting in the chair, everybody going home. And brother said, "Can I help you, brother?" I said, "Well, I just joined today. I'm ready to be processed." I said, "What do I do now?" He said, "Well, go home and come back next week." I was so disappointed because I used to see brothers go in the back room. I thought I had to go back there and get grilled or something. I didn't come back for a while, but a brother kept talking to me, and he helped me. He helped me stay around. Anyway, you're correct. There was a very an authoritative chain of command, military style, or executive style leadership and governmental process. Top down, the program was laid out by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. May Allah bless him for all his good and forgive him for any of his errors. And there was a lot of discipline and a lot of peer pressure, and keeping each other in line. And of course, that when you have executive leadership, authoritative leadership, you can get a lot of things done that way. But oftentimes it is also sets up the potential for, be abusive situations. And apparently these things did occur over time when Imam Muhammad came in, without going too much through it, but he came in, number one, as a follower of the Quran. And he made a transition, a gradual transition away from the kind of power and authority that individuals had over folks' lives who were underneath them in the hierarchy. And he created an atmosphere of freedom and so forth. He set up a committee system. He set up electoral processes. He set up national boards and consultative boards. Again, transitioning us along that continuum of governmental processes, but moving it away from, centralized leadership. And so he continued to expand that. And I'll just say, so over time, there was more and more decentralization. Now he wanted people to take care of business, and he used to always talk about responsibility. Unfortunately, though, like he never wanted to be the kind of leader like his father, where everybody just looked at headquarters for instruction, for him to tell us what to do. But unfortunately, we as a community never quite got away from that. You know, we were always waiting for him to say what should be done. And then there were directions that he pointed, but he did not put the management apparatus into place to make those things happen with a management structure. And he left that open for the individuals to figure out how to do that. And it's something we're still struggling with. But then in time, towards the end of his life, we have continued to gradually more and more decentralize. And when he passed away, or transitioned, should I say, there was conversation about what to do, because there were no specific instructions about how leadership should continue. And so we have been, as a community, people have had different ideas about what to do next, and so we have a lot of different ideas about it. But the community has been just working and developing on its own. And what we do have is the result of individuals finding like minds, as the Imam used to always say, and organizing and collectively coordinating their efforts together to build little pockets of things here and there. Imam Bashir Ali wrote a great piece that describes what you've asked Mujahideen in one of the annual convener community reports, where he talks about, the title of it is from centralization to decentralization. I mean, from dependence to independence to interdependence. And so that vision that he puts forth is we're now at that place where we went and we're all autonomous little local masjids and everybody's just doing their own thing. But we cannot claim, I don't know if we could say, hey, it looks like we're at the destiny. This is right where we need to be. Most of us feel like we need more to do. So that interdependence, connecting, developing, positioning ourselves, my personal preference is that we will need to get to a form of governance that the Ummah accepts, that balances freedom and collective action. And if we can do that, we might be able to progress.
And I love that you just said that. Like you just made me smile on the inside when you just said that, because Mujahideen and I have had conversations about this. What holds us together as a community? Because we have this, we went from this dependence to independence, and now we're feeling our way through the interdependence. And so that I love, right? Because there's sort of this invisible thread that is just like, well, what connects me and my community to someone in California who is of this Imam Mohammed community, but not of my local community? What ties us together? And so I feel like that's why your program is important, because it is the knowledge that was flowing through the system when it was in a dependent state on a centralized form of governance that keeps the community together. But as soon as you start, because even for me, I didn't grow up in this community. I came into this community as an adult, and this was not my history, so to speak. So, it took me a while to figure. I didn't even have any idea that I was a part of Imam Mohammed's community. I just know that I became Muslim, and I was at the masjid that I was at. I had no idea that there was this larger structure and the way that it was all configured historically. But that's why, like I said, programs such as yours are important, because we have to have something that binds us. And right now, for a lot of people, that thread that's connecting us at least from my perspective, is this invisible thread. And I think that is the knowledge that you all will present in your program, because then I know that I can go from my masjid and hear a certain language, whether you're, saying Imam Muhammad every 5 minutes or not. There is this understanding, there is this tone, there is this sense of community that I could feel in where I'm from, and go somewhere else and feel that same thing, and know that they understand that same thing, and know that they're thinking in that same vein. So as I said earlier, I'm excited to see the product of this program.
Yeah, that's the output. The product is the key. Imam Muhammad's wife, Khadija Siddiq Muhammad, always says that it's his language and his logic that binds the community together. That's who we are. Once that's gone, then we, not to knock anything, but once that's gone, then we're just like everyone else, right? And that heritage will be gone. And this is where a big part of the struggle is, and why these things are important. Some people don't understand why it's important, but we have to realize in the Imam's teaching, if we lose that logic, that language, his understanding of the Quran, and we lose it, then he's effectively crucified. And that bond that we have, it becomes immaterial. And so heritage is important. That's why we have Heritage Month. And there are many levels to that.
As we come up to the hour and concluding, Imam Salahuddin, would you like to share? We have the flyer. We will present the flyer. And we do also have some marketing and some other things that's coming down the line in regards to this program. But can you just share with the audience, how can they get involved and when can they sign up? What's the projection date of start as we close out?
Yeah, so like we said earlier, this is a pilot program, and so the cutoff number will be 30 participants for the first year. But after the first year, we will probably raise that number. And how you register, because registration will begin October 15th. And how you can register is go to www.iltdp.com. And so when you go on that page, you will see all the information that you need to register. And you will also find more in-depth information about the program. We have videos on there where you can watch to get some real detailed information about each component, and also how to register for the program. Yeah. So,
but the first day of class though begins
Yes.
January 24th.
Yes, the first day of class is January 24th. But like I said, it's the limited number. It's only 30 participants for the first year. So I don't want to say first come, first serve, but I'm just letting people know
I'll say it for you, Aki. It's only 27 seats left, because we got three of us on here. So y'all better get your tickets. Sign up when it comes live, October 15th. Here is the flyer. We do have the banner here. Islamic Leadership Training and Development Program. Program registration begins October 15th. 3 dynamic courses, 1 unique program: Community Leadership, Islamic Sciences, Imam W.D. Muhammad Knowledge Body, or as we also heard, School of Thinking. Only 30 seats /27 available. Don't miss out. Apply when registration open. And you could, some of that information will be also presented here on New Freedom XChange, but also they also mentioned the website. So check that out.
Yeah. So again, www.iltdp.com.
Indeed, alhamdulillah. Good promo, folks.
I would also encourage people that are viewing this program and that will see the replay to really consider and do a self-assessment and an evaluation of your local community, where it is now, where in your heart and in your mind you envision it going, and how you anticipated getting to that point. Because as Imam Mubashir mentioned earlier, we have a lot of times in the community, we have the concept of what needs to be done or where it is that we want to go, but then that missing link is often how to get there. And so this program is a how to get there. And as you do the evaluation, be honest with where it's at. What are the strengths? We in community development and in business, we talk about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? And we need to do those same analysis for our community. I think a lot of times we separate having to do those evaluations. Like, it's okay that we do that in our work life and in our, in business, but then we don't transfer it to doing that same kind of analysis in our community. And it's important. It's so important and it's so vital. And for those of us in this community, I believe that we want to see it thrive and to see it grow. I feel a particular enthusiasm in our community now. I think it was mentioned earlier, there are a few programs in our community that are popping up now. And for this program, you all have been strategizing for some time now, but now that it is coming to fruition, there are other programs. So I feel a certain vigor in our community. And so now is the time to take advantage of the space that we're in, that excitement, that motivation, because then this could be bigger and better. And we talk about, the state of our masjids. We talk about the state of our schools, the presence of our schools or the lack thereof. We talk about the structure in our communities or the lack thereof. And so this is an opportunity to rectify those situations. So really take stock of where you are, where you want to go, and who in your community would be ideal candidates to push this forward. And I know that we have them in our various locales. There is someone or a few someones who are those beacons of light, and they should be a part of this. You should have someone that you seek out in your community where you're like, I want you, because sometimes people need that motivation, right? So it's like, you would be ideal for this. We see you as someone who could take us forward in this respect. And so consider the program. And some of us kind of know, I think too, that we may be that someone. And so I would say, don't shy away from it. We have so much work to do. I know Imam Mohammed had a saying of, we can't stop now. And so this is a vehicle of that whole we can't stop now ideology. So that's my spiel.
Yeah. Can I say something? Because you kind of pricked my conscience. So I think people should see it as being an investment. Look at it as being an investment for a prosperous future. So when you see those candidates, those potential candidates in your community, we want those communities to look at those persons as being an investment for their future community. So sometimes we have to change our paradigm on how we perceive things. So I wanted to share that.
Yes, and I wanted to add again to that too. For anyone who might be contemplating it, the Conveners of Imams are the sponsors of this program, and they are trying their best to communicate to the resident imams in the masajid across the country to get the imams involved, which means that if you're an individual who is interested in this program, you can speak to your imam about the support from the masjid, helping you with the tuition, and if you need help from the convener to communicate with your resident imam to see if they can come up with something to help if you're not able to afford the tuition yourself, then you reach out to them, because that community, as Imam Salahuddin was saying, the idea is that this young person or younger person may be is an investment for our future. So we can all chip in. Every local community can chip in to send one or two folks to the program.
Excellent, excellent. Imam Bilal, you want to give us any closing remarks?
Bismillah. First and foremost, we'd like to thank Allah for this effort. Thank Allah for those who are sincere in putting forth an effort like this, which is honorable. For those who are involved, Brother Salahuddin, Brother Mubashir, Uqdah, and your team, those who are the conveners, etc. We appreciate this effort, and we appreciate all the efforts that are sincere that's coming out of this community now. As Sister Marsha talked about, the environment and the stage has been set. There are efforts, and we should get behind them and support them, because this is the pulse. The pulse is here. So if this is the pulse, you want to grab hold of the pulse, while you have it. You understand what I'm saying? And build upon that. It's easy for us to sit here on any platform or anywhere and be comfortable in the position that we are. We're not comfortable. We shouldn't be comfortable. We talked about this in my cookbook yesterday. This life is fleeing. This will go. This will leave us. We're right now we're mapping out our future mapping out our future for tomorrow. We have to plan for that. We have to plan for when we leave this earth, when we leave this realm, what's going to be behind us. The generation Adam, that's not my generation. Generation Adam is the 4-year-olds, the 3-year-olds. What about them? Who's thinking about them?
Yes, sir.
That's the reality. The reality is, I'm 29, such and such. All these a lot of people are above me in age and etc. I'm thinking about them. Think about myself, but I'm thinking about them, the 4-year-olds, the 3-year-olds. Later for anything else that has nothing to do with no productivity. If it's not productive, we're not entertaining it. You understand what I'm saying? We're not entertaining it. I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because anything else other than that is baloney. It's baloney. And we
not baloney, Aki.
It's baloney, man. It's baloney. Fake meat. You know what I'm saying? Artificiality. We have a lot of people, a lot of efforts that are sincere. Get behind those. Or if not, if you don't feel that they are sincere, then build one and show us something. Show us something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But we can no longer sit here and be complacent and be comfortable with where we are. We cannot be comfortable. Cannot be. Because we get too comfortable, that's how you get into problems. And that's what we got where we are right now, because we became too comfortable. You know what I'm saying? We were comfortable being spoon-fed by our leader. And when he died, all of a sudden, like the prophet, when the prophet died, everyone's in the mosque saying, what are we going to do now? The prophet is dead. Well, if you believe that the prophet died, physically his flesh went back to Allah, but his body, his knowledge body, is still with us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Allahu Akbar.
So let's get busy, man. Let's get busy.
Allahu Akbar.
Excellent. Brothers fired up, man. He's ready to go, man. Y'all better I better get in line.
Better get-
Yeah, man, pull out the, you know what. But anyway, so we thank you all for joining and tuning in today. You just heard very, and a lot of people don't understand. Well, I won't say what people don't understand. I know. Bilal is one of, he has a story to tell in himself. I'll leave it there. So we won't go too much into that. But the program tonight, we were focused on the Islamic Leadership Training and Development Program, which is sponsored and being launched, or registration is opening up October 15th. So get on the website, put your information in. As was told, if you have a local imam or a master that's a part of the convenership, you can reach out to them to get assistance and sponsorship. I'm sure all that detail will be forthcoming. There was one other comment here, but we won't, I guess, go into all of these. I can't find it now. Okay, no problem. Okay, so we'll leave it like that. We thank you all for tuning in. Since Marsha talked about the "We Cannot Stop Now," we're going to give you all a little dose of that from the Imam. And then until next time, we greet you all with degrees of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Don't work against us becoming Muslims if that's our choice. America is land of the free and home of the brave. And damn it, I'm brave and I'm free. And you can't take it away from me. I'm going to have freedom of choice. I choose Islam. I choose Quran. I choose Muhammad. I choose this religion for myself. And as long as my children are under my supervision and not of age to make their own decision, I am choosing Islam for all of my children. As long as my wife will like me, will love me, and she doesn't have to love me, as long as she respects me. I choose Islam for my wife. And that's my responsibility. And I hope you all feel the same way. Thank God we are free at last. We are free at last. You're not free when you're just free from physical bondage. You're not free until your mind is free and your human spirit is free. Your human spirit will take you where God wants you to go. And if you got that human spirit that will follow what God wants, your mind will be blessed by God to know how to get your body there. To get your body there. We're tired of being spooks in America or anywhere else. We are no spooks. We have a human body like everybody else. Don't tell me to accept God, immigrant Muslim from Pakistan and from Egypt and other places. Don't come over here and give me a life of Muslim ritualism. I had enough ritualism. I feel the genes in of my foreparents. They are in me. And I have a distaste for too much ritualism. I want reality. I want reality, and I want a place in this world. I want to obey God, and I want to get my share of this material world. Don't give me a spirit and tell me I can't have a body. God didn't give me a spirit and tell me I can't have a body. God gave me a spirit, and he gave me a material body to house my spirit. Now give me a material environment to house my mind and my spirit that is African American. We want to see New Africa. We want to see New Africa Islamic theaters. We want to see skyscrapers go up, and we build them. We want to see shipping lines and trucking lines and transportation lines all over in our neighborhood. We want to walk outside our house, and we want to look at the products and the construction and the industry of our own people, Muslim African Americans in New Africa, on these shores. On these shores. That's our rightful inheritance as the creation of God. God has created us for this. That's our natural inheritance. And we will accept nothing less. Nothing less. They have Spanish Town. They have Chinatown. Damn it, get ready for African American Town, Muslim New Africa. And I won't say it. I know you've been waiting for it. You've been waiting for me to say it. We cannot be stopped now.
They They ask me about religion, why? They ask me about my race and my tribe. They ask about my complexion, why? When they ask me, this is what I say. My grandfather was a Muslim, and my daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth, and the Quran they gave the answer. They put their hands up in the sky, and they asked the Lord why. We not gonna worship the creation, we only pray to the Creator. Guidance is a gift that the Lord shall give to any man or woman, whether small or big. God said you must reflect, you have to use your mind. So now you know the reason why. My grandfather was a Muslim, and my daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth. In the Quran they found the answer. They put their hands up to the sky, and they asked the Lord why. We not gonna worship the creation, we only pray to the Creator. The messenger of God, the best of creation. Peace and blessings be upon him and his one nation. He came to teach the world, came to free our souls, and that charity comes from a smile. So when you see me on the road, give me a smile. I say salam alaikum to my brothers, why? Cause it's peace for you and it's peace for me. Peace from my granddaddy. My grandfather was a Muslim. And my daddy was a Rasta. My daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth. Yeah. In the Quran they found the answer. They put their hands up to the sky. And they asked the Lord why. We not gonna worship the creation. We not gonna worship the creation. We only pray to the Creator. We only pray to the Creator. My grandfather was a Muslim. And my daddy was a Rasta. They were searching for the truth. In the Quran they found the answer. They found what they were looking for. They put their hands up in the sky, and they asked the Lord why. We not gonna worship the creation. We only pray to the Creator. We only pray to the Creator. My grandfather was a Muslim,